So something I got to do today is just wash my clothes, kind of give them that first initial wash of the season. I'm not a scent control guy because I'm going to sweat anyways going up that first hill. But first, let's get some coffee. So yeah, it does look deery. We have a cornfield here on the south. I will mark that. And let me, I think I'm gonna drive the rest of this road and you know, seeing all hay fields, I'd like to find alfalfa or beans. So did a little driving around, a little road scouting, kind of mapping some stuff out. And I'm gonna go ahead and park, and I think I'm gonna stay on the ground tonight and kind of lay some boot leather down. And really my goal is to learn as much as I can in the next 3 hours of daylight, and maybe mark like a better stand location or a place I can come into tomorrow standing sticks. But tonight I think I'm gonna stay on the ground, still hunt, scout. I got a few areas of interest, and then I've got a food source marked on the private, and then this area with some boot leather I can get to 2 of my clusters of pins for my e-scouting, and so that's going to play a role here and targeting, you know, where I'm going to narrow in for really the rest of the trip. Got the inverter going. So we're over here away from all the big RV fancy camper guys. Ain't that right, Zoe boy?
Yep, primitive, baby.
So we bring our power. That's what Whitetail Experience does. We bring the power. So first night, scouted a decent amount, put about 1.5 miles on the boots and then 1.5 miles out. Started to find a lot of historic buck sign, a lot of big rubs, a lot of rubs. So there's a little confidence. I did mark some oaks, caught a few tracks. I don't feel like I've got a decent little ambush point for myself tomorrow where I found some clumpy buck turds, if you believe that. But I did find some clumpy turds. Oaks are raining. I've got a nice trail system going through. It's funny because this piece has a lot of hammer trails, and so I would think the population would be pretty good. But I have not jumped any deer at this point, and you didn't see any from the road.
No, nothing from the road.
So at this point, I think we're gonna I'm gonna go back to where I ended my hunt this evening, because that area was probably the best, everything I scouted. I got a bead on another area that's where I caught some tracks, and I kind of think I need to get a little more away from the access. So I'm gonna send you into this ridge system, because I kind of know what's there as far as there's some oaks on that side. And I caught some good tracks coming in and out. I just think I was too close to the access tonight. Yeah. So we'll just continue. I actually really like the look of this piece from the outside. It seems to hunt really big.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Diversity of habitats there. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for tomorrow. And the camp life is going to be kind of fun. It's kind of a cool little adventure today.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Team Harder and Bucks.
Harder and Bucks.
Tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So I think the plan at this point is to get down out of this tree, do some more bids to ground. It seems like, at least with a couple initial pins, I've picked some decent location with some oaks, but I'm finding squirrel pressure. Had the dogs come through this morning. We saw a couple of guys with dogs last night, and it just seems like there's good deer sign here from years past as far as like old rubs, but I don't think it's super hot right now. I don't know if I've got to find like a thicket where maybe these deer can escape some of these dogs, or maybe I've got to look at some different habitats at this point. But I think I'm gonna get packed up now and put boots to ground and keep looking. Maybe look at some new pins. I did mark an area of interest that looked like it was not timber heavy, so I may have to go there. All right, so it's now Operation Avoid the Dogs on this piece of public land that seems to be so prevalent today. But you know, it's time for second breakfast. Second breakfast. So let me hit you with this idea. You can say good, bad, ugly.
Yeah.
We use the biscuits with the sausage, right, for like, you know, that savory.
Oh yeah.
Then we take the English muffins and we do the peanut butter and jelly for the sweet.
That's a money idea.
We got a knife here. It's way easier to point at stuff.
Yeah, with a knife for sure.
For sure. Okay. So we got a south wind tonight, so I think all these points are key. We obviously can't even hunt this the southern boundary because everything would be essentially getting our wind before it would get to us.
Right.
So I kind of hope they're on this area of high point, and then it looks like there's some feeder type habitat that we could maybe catch. My only fear is the parking lot is not terribly far.
Yeah.
But I do think we can make educated guesses because I think we could slip into this creek and look for good tracks.
Yeah, going in and out.
Yeah, and maybe get lucky. Oh wait! You see that? That might be a pond.
Oh yeah.
Well, if it rains later, that won't matter. But not a terrible thought there.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's the plan.
Okay, cool.
Obviously, we have a lot of dog hunters, so we gotta kind of call an audible, do a little extra e-scouting here today.
Right.
And I think that's the best plan we can come up with. I don't know if we go standing sticks. We may bring two just to get, you know, if we get into some of that habitat where we got to be like 1-2 sticks high, but I think we want to be as nimble as we can.
Yeah.
And it may be something, maybe we scout out the creek with just bows, no sticks.
Yeah.
And stand, find a good track, and then go get the stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, not a long walk, so.
It's not a long walk. Yeah, maybe we did just bring it off. All right, that's the plan.
Cool.
Alright, obviously there's no more hunt footage of heading in on that Saturday night, and that's because we had a rainstorm kick up. And not just any rainstorm, it was a torrential downpour. And we couldn't just, you know, get to the camera gear or even pull out a cell phone because, you know, obviously being out of state, if we ruined a cell phone or our key fobs, you know, to drive back, that would have been impossible. So it just wasn't worth the risk. Couldn't get any more footage of that hunt just due to the conditions. But I do have some summarizing thoughts and some decent call outs as far as what went right, what went wrong, and ways we can continue to break this piece down and kind of bring you guys that process. So starting things out, some of my initial dart throws were actually pretty decent as far as I was clearly finding sign of deer and able to cross-reference the different layering systems and come up with a decent dart throw. And I'm not the best e-scouter by any means, but it's something that can be done and, you know, could pay off. As far as some overall thoughts on the piece, like, it does seem like there is less pressure overall. We didn't see other bow hunters. Obviously, this was the second weekend of the season, so you're going to have a real big peak there, the first, and then everything kind of trickles down until about late October. But, you know, we didn't see as many stands in what I call like Dickie Mow or Average Joe type locations. big ladder stands that you can see on the public here in Ohio that generally have been there for years, and you can kind of tell what's going on. The guy may be coming in through some private, or he's just like not the best hunter, and he's set up in a very obvious location that I would never hunt personally. One thing I noted is the amount of good older rubs. As far as I saw a good number of older rubs, and the size, like they weren't spindly rubs, they were solid big buck rubs. I felt, at least solid rat bucks, 2.5-year-olds. And what this is telling me is at least last year there had to be a decent population or a buck cheese grading some of these areas, because just the number, it seemed decent as far as what I would consider as far as number of rubs, and so that was like very encouraging. I will say I don't think I have the best early season ambush points labeled down there just yet, so coming here September is a bit more difficult. I also think it's more difficult to throw darts for early season because you kind of have to really know habitat in a certain area. Versus the rut, you can pick terrain features, you can pick cruising shelves, pinches or terrain type stuff that really funnels deer down. That's not a terrible dart throw, just because those bucks are covering distance at that time. As far as mapping notes, I talked about the rubs, and I also noted when I got back, I was looking at my OnX and could tell an elevation level in the hill that seemed to hold more rubs, and I think that could play a factor as far as, at least on that ridge system that I was on. Something I picked up on while I was there marking was the diversity of habitat, because there were some thickets or almost like, there were some type clear-cut forestry improvement areas, places with good understory that you can't tell from an aerial until you put boots to ground. And so that was something else I was marking. I spent the first hour-ish that I was down there, and I was just marking parking lot areas. And, that's a very important step, because that's kind of your home base. That's where you operate out of. In some situations you can pull off the road, and others you can't do that. And so it's, having a parking lot is always how you start your hunt. So you got to have those marked, I feel. I saw and obviously marked a decent amount of the private cornfields and hay fields in the area, just giving those deer, even if it's a nighttime food source, it gives them a solid food source or a potential travel direction off and on the piece. So that was key. Oaks. I've got a note here on oaks, and I feel I was just a few days early. Anywhere between a half a week to 7 days, because I probably looked at 20 to 25 oaks, and I was finding oaks that had acorns, but there wasn't a good amount of acorns underneath, like on the floor, and obviously that's where the deer can eat them. I was looking for deer poop under those trees, and I only found that in one location. And there wasn't a bunch of caps yet on the ground. So I think that area needs a solid like wind thunderstorm or something to maybe shake some of those out of the tree and get more of them onto the ground. Or maybe I just need a little more time. Like maybe this weekend when Dave is going down there, we got a potential to really hunt oaks in a better manner. So I have a note here, what went wrong, because I feel like several things happened that were outside of my control that really dampered what I wanted to do down there. And obviously the dogs. You could see from the footage that we had dogs running through, and while that may kick you a deer, and we were kind of opportunistic at the time, we had realized that there was multiple trucks of dogs, multiple packs going on. We had no idea if they'd been there like a few days prior to us, and so we kind of had to pull out. And so we had to spend time then scouting, e-scouting a new piece and driving to the new piece. So we're wasting valuable boots on the ground time there Saturday, and coming up with a new game plan that we hadn't put as much like effort into prior to going. The other thing that kind of hurt us was the rainstorm, and even if it was just a 2-hour rainstorm, not a big deal. But this was something that was gonna blew in Saturday night and got us out of the tree due to the thunder and thunder lightning situation. But then also like Sunday, it wasn't going to be done thundering lightning until like 3 or 4 o'clock, and we had to get back kind of midday was our target, as far as we had some other obligations back home. And so that really just shut us down. One, the last hour of daylight right now is the best hour of deer hunting, and then two, like all the boots to the ground that could have occurred Sunday morning, as well as, you know, sometimes when you just drive to a piece and hunt, you could see deer crossing the road in the dark. That, you know, a lot goes into pulling out early that you just don't, you're not spending time on the piece. As far as future plans in this video series we're working on, Dave is headed down for 2 days here this weekend. So he'll be able to further the learning curve there. And that's kind of my next note is we have Zoe, me, Andy, and Dave all with Kentucky tags this year. So this particular piece, you know, attacking it with multiple people have different openings to get down there. And so we can maybe quicken the learning curve because we've got so many eyes going in, and we can share pins and take notes, or you know, share out what we're learning at the same time. And we can scatter out, you know, and learn different areas, or we could use a buddy system and target a specific area over time. And that'll just quicken the learning curve, which is the overall goal of this Kentucky mission, is to give us a good deer hunting place out of state that's not too far. And the fact that Kentucky opens in early September is kind of cool and gives us an extra month of deer hunting, even if we only go one time in September before Ohio. Obviously, it's a long-term goal. I'd like to get back there in October at a minimum, and then probably some late season. That's what I can at least commit to right now. Obviously, it all depends on my Ohio tag. I also have an Illinois tag this year, but that's a significantly further drive and time away type factor. But the Ohio tag will become the number one priority here starting next weekend, if you will. But I'm definitely going to get back down there, and it's I think it's a good piece. I think it hunts big. I think it's got some stuff going on that can allow me to get to the caliber of animal I'm after. I just hope a little bit of lack of this sightings on this trip is kind of a fluke, and I've got some local intel that could tell me otherwise, that there's a decent amount of deer there. But guys, appreciate you watching. We're going to continue to kind of bring this breakdown to you, obviously, throughout the 2020 season here. I appreciate you watching. Team Harder and Bucks, we're out.